Specter of Pennsylvania is switching parties.
This is about political survival.
Personal political survival.
A job preservation move.
He knew he couldn't win as a Republican.
It definitely looks like job preservation.
This is something that's clearly welcome news here at the White House.
He probably could not have won a Republican primary.
Extraordinary news.
Huge sort of seismic shift.
So don't mistake that.
Yes, I'm the great pretender. Pretending that I'm doing well.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Savage Nation. I'd like to define for you the word whore. The word whore not only means prostitute in the sexual sense, but whore also means someone who compromises their principles for personal gain. Now, in this sense, I can think of no better definition for the venal and craven senator from Pennsylvania, Arlen Specter. And so, therefore, we have defined the term whore. There are two other topics I'm going to talk about today. The whore Specter, he doesn't surprise me, he's always been a whore. And we're going to disclose for you today how Arlen Specter helped a murderer skip bail. You see, I have a very long memory. Arlen Specter is not only a whore, but he helped a murderer skip bail back in 1979. The article is actually linked up now on michaelsavage.com. I seem to be the only person in the media with a memory of who this whore actually is. Topic number 2 is the buzz of New York City with Air Force One and the F-16s. Are you buying the story that Air Force One airplane and 2 F-16s were part of a photo op? Do you believe a word of what the government is putting out? There are rumors running throughout the blogosphere, the land of the thinking man, that this is a lie, that there was a rogue Air Force pilot who hijacked that plane in order to send out an SOS that the presidency has been hijacked. What do you make of that? What do you make of that? We'll also talk about the continuing Swine Flu debacle. Today, the liars in the government on the Janet Napolitano, tried to come up with a new name for the Mexican flu. Of course, the people themselves can't keep up with the new names that the government comes up with, but everybody knows it's the Mexican flu, and everybody knows that the government's putting their heads in their bags in order to make certain that the drugs and the swine keep flowing across the border. But the fact of the matter is, there have been experts who have been getting up saying, close the border, and they've been slapped down by the vermin in the media, and we have sound bites of all of them, including Schlepp Smith, who is now the Arlen Specter of Fox News. Schlepp Smith, covering the swine flu and interviewing Representative Eric Massa, the New York, who called for closing the border, went ballistic today. And so I'm asking, is Schlepp Smith, the pretty boy of Fox News, is he going to become the Arlen Specter of Fox News? And how soon will Schlepp Smith jump to Al Jazeera is the question. But let's go back to Arlen Specter whore. There's a very important article that John J. Miller of the National Review wrote in April of '04 about the whore, Arlen Specter. And what you don't know, I know, and I have a long memory, but the article itself explains it all. The article itself explains that long before the whore, the most liberal Republican in the Senate, Arlen the prostitute Specter, in fact, in 1964 was a member of the Warren Commission, and he invented the single bullet theory to explain how Lee Harvey Oswald assassinated President Kennedy. So this filthy prostitute has long been a national disgrace. The fact of the matter is, conspiracy theorists have obsessed over this prostitute ever since. This ambitious junior counselor obviously has been behind one of the grossest lies ever forced on the American people. But there's worse about the prostitute Arlen Specter. What you don't know is that he was once a district attorney in Philadelphia. And he was elected twice in Philadelphia as a Democrat. The prostitute's most famous case came in 1979 when he was in private practice and thinking about running for the Senate. Here's what happened. A man named Ira Einhorn, better known as the Unicorn, had been arrested for the murder of his girlfriend. She had been missing for a year and a half when police found her mummified corpse stuffed into a trunk hidden in Einhorn's closet. Now, Einhorn was a celebrated communist. He is also credited with creating Earth Day, to just give you some connections here. Earth Day is a communist holiday. But Einhorn, the murderer, also had strong ties to Philadelphia power elites, a group of people that Arlen the whore Specter was cultivating for his prospective Senate campaign when he agreed to become the murderer Einhorn's lawyer. At an arraignment, The government demanded a $100,000 bail for Einhorn. And before Judge William Moritani, Arlen the Horse Specter called this bail excessively excessive and insisted on a reduced figure. The judge wondered if Einhorn might, quote, split for parts unknown. He mentioned Norway as a possible destination. The Horse Specter said, I have to disagree with your last statement. Anybody as likely to go to Norway as anybody else. And through the future senator's efforts, the whore, Einhorn's bail was dropped to $40,000. As things turned out, the Horse Specter was proven correct. You see, Einhorn didn't flee to Norway. He fled to Sweden, slipping out of the United States shortly before his murder trial was scheduled to begin. Einhorn remained a fugitive until 1997, when police found him living in France under a phony name with his Swedish prostitute wife. He was eventually extradited to the United States. In 2002, Ira Einhorn, a good friend of Arlen the Horse Specter, was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. And that's the rest of the story. So if you say, are you shocked that the whore switched parties? Are you shocked that Arlen Specter became a Democrat? When was he not a Democrat? When was this prostitute not a Democrat? Can anyone tell me? So that's how Arlen Specter helped the murderer skip bail. Many of you don't care about it, and this is a topic that will never make it to the mainstream news because they're too busy renaming the Mexican flu, the swine flu, the A1A flu. I can just call it the Napolitano flu if you like. We can rename it the Napolitano flu for purposes of simplicity. We can just call it the Napolitano flu since she's standing in the way of true epidemiology and a true containment of an epidemic. Topic number 2 on the Savage Nation, as I said to you, was the flyby over New York. The buzz of New York City with an Air Force jet. No one seems to know about it, but the government is putting out the big lie that the NYPD knew about it. Well, if the NYPD knew about it, and if the NYPD knew about this stunt and didn't disclose it to the public, I would say that the police commissioner should be fired by the mayor. But I don't believe that anybody knew about it, because I don't believe it was a stunt. I believe something went wrong here. What do you believe? The phone number is 1-800-449-8255. We're talking about 3 topics. We're also going to play sound bites of Schlep Smith, the Arlen Specter of Fox News, and we're speculating on when Schlep Smith will soon move to another channel, and we're guessing whether it will be Al Jazeera or a station somewhere in Syria where they like pretty boys with blue eyes who take the other side's positions on a regular basis and get away with working for Rupert Murdoch. I'll be right back.
AM 560.